Oftentimes, pastors and church leaders are silent because they assume by speaking out on political and moral issues, that'll somehow jeopardize their tax-exempt status. Nothing could be further from the truth. Before we talk about what pastors and churches can do with regards to political activity, let me first talk about the important difference between churches and every other nonprofit organization. Liberty Counsel is a nonprofit organization. It's not a church. It's a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. Individuals who contribute to Liberty Counsel have tax deductions, just like a church. They are nonprofit, and if you contribute to a church, the individual also has a tax deduction. But the fundamental difference between churches and every other nonprofit organization is that all nonprofit organizations have to apply to the IRS to get tax-exempt approval. You fill out the form, and then after 12 to 18 months or more, the IRS sends you a letter, and that letter will acknowledge that you're tax-exempt and contributions to you are tax deductible. Churches are completely different. In the IRS code, they are exempted from that process. From the moment of conception, if you will, from the moment that they gather together to operate and act like a church is automatically tax exempt without applying to the IRS. Churches can, but do not have to have a tax exempt letter. Now, if Liberty Counsel were to lose its tax exempt status, the IRS would take the letter away and we would have to apply again for the tax exemption and get the letter back from the IRS. In the meantime, we would lose our tax-exempt status if we were to violate some tax code. But churches don't have to have a letter to begin with, and consequently, if they lose a letter, it doesn't have a significant consequence. In fact, if you go back into the history of churches and nonprofit activity, not one single church has ever in the history of America ever lost its tax-exempt status for either endorsing or opposing a political candidate or endorsing or opposing legislation or lobbying. Not one in America.